Andrew Raycroft. Razor, how you doing? Everything good? I mean, James Hagens looked pretty good last night in the white. It seems like they have a new kid line there in Boston.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. But yeah, all good. You guys?
All good. All good.
We were just kind of finishing talking the Frozen Four, and I don't know if you heard that last part from me talking about like feeling like guys are starting to potentially stay an extra year. Maybe it's less of a rush, I guess it feels like to me right now. I mean, Letourneau's going back, which, by the way, that's the right decision. Like there's no, but as a first round pick, you can always leave as early as you want. And now with Hage deciding to come back, Max Plant is deciding to come back. It seems like we're starting to maybe
Wittenbach, Jack Musa
the other way.
Yeah, well, let's call it how it is, though. They're all making $100,000 to do it. It's money. It's straight.
Whatever
money.
the
You're
reason is, though, it's great for hockey.
You're making more money doing that than going to play in the minors for $85,000, where you have to pay for your hotel, you have to pay for your car, you have to pay for this and that. It's easier and more lucrative to stay in college. So, I think Neil has a big part of that.
But Razor, I guess your takeaway from the Frozen Four too, just the quality of where college hockey's at. Like these games are great, the atmosphere was great. I know you weren't in Vegas, but I guess like from a production standpoint, this Frozen Four versus previous years, what you've seen, if there was anything different just on your end.
No, I mean Denver wins. That's it. They get 5 shots on goal in 2 periods. I wouldn't say that was thrilling or exciting, but you knew they were going to win. They're the New England Patriots. They make you feel like they don't deserve to win, but they play the right way the whole time. They don't press. They don't. Their D are really good and strong, and they had no panic the entire game. No panic, giving up. Yeah. 5. Just like I said, 5 shots through 2 periods in a national championship game. I guarantee you 60 teams around the country would be absolutely panicking, trying to find shots, trying to get on 2-on-1s, and they'd be giving up chances the other way. But Denver didn't do that, and they just continue to stick to the process, and that's why they keep winning.
I said on Chicklets, Razor, and I'm curious if you agree with this or not, I said Denver plays more mature hockey than 85% of the National Hockey League. Now, I think part of that is because you're not paying guys $11 million or whatever, like in the NHL, where guys are like, yeah, I'm just going to kind of do what I want. But do you think that's like a fair statement to say they play more mature than a lot of NHL teams?
I mean, I know you guys love college. Like
talk through good. Disagree. But I don't
care. Give it to him because I can't, Razor.
No. I mean, just anything to do with the NHL. It just like kind of like bristles me. It's just 2 different things.
That's fair.
But I would say, but you just made a good point, and I would say that you're probably right, and this is the reason why is because David Carl only recruits certain kind of kids.
Yeah.
He's doing it a different way to win. Now,
right.
It's also a 1-game winner take all. Like it's 1 game.
Correct, but like how? I know there's not, because he knows the stat just like Colby, and you know it better than I do, is that no first rounders ever win a national championship.
We were just talking about that before the show.
There's a bunch of different ways to do this, and I think what we're seeing is to win, you have to play really, really mature in college hockey, because if you don't, no one's really good enough. You don't have enough high-end talent, or you're playing against a bunch of 25-year-olds who are playing really, really mature against a 23-year-old goaltender who's really, really mature. So I think you're right in saying that Denver definitely plays more mature than everybody else, and they play a very mature hockey game. My guess is that there's a few, I think the bottom half of the NHL maybe doesn't, because they have a bunch of college kids coming in that aren't used to play mature hockey.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
So, but I agree with, yes, they're way more mature, just like I was just talking about, like the 5 shots on goal to just play that way for sure. But it's because of who he's recruiting and what he's recruiting, and the fact that they aren't first rounders that have 1 foot out the door. I think he's found the secret sauce. He doesn't want kids that have 1 foot out the door, like all of the other big programs have.
I'll read you this stat, and then I think we're going to translate to the NHL. I do want to talk about Hagens and the Bruins. So it's funny. Going back to 2005, only 14 first-round picks have won a national championship, going back to 05. That's it. 14 total players. The only years in there, 2009 BU had 2 first-round picks. 2012 BC had 2. And 2016 North Dakota had 2. Other than that, it's 1 or none every year since 05 with first-round picks. There was not a first-round pick on Denver this year. They did not have a first-round draft choice. So the year before, Western, 0. The year before, Denver 1, Quinnipiac 0, Denver 0, UMass 0, Duluth 1. Like, the numbers are staggering. They really are staggering. And the what it shows is that other than the North Dakota 16 team and our BU team in 2009, we had 16 draft picks on that team and 1. But you look at most years, it's not like that. And it's back to like what you were saying, Razor. It really fits with that.
I mean, Colby, you were a minute away from not having it, losing to a Miami, Ohio team.
Yeah.
I'm assuming did not have that many NHL draft picks. I don't know who was on that team, but I'm assuming that Miami, Ohio was not as talented as you guys were from an NHL perspective.
Yeah, no, they had a lot of really good players, but they were definitely not. It was not littered with first-round pick. You know, we had first, seconds, thirds like Bonino, Wilson. I mean, you go down the list, Hobie Baker. So, all right. Speaking of first-round picks, speaking of highly talented guys, let's talk a little James Hagens. Like, solid debut. Like, I would say solid debut. To me, looked pretty damn comfortable for a guy who's never played in the NHL. So it looks to me as if that little stint in the American League really did mean something for him. And so for me, like, I was wrong, 100% wrong, because I criticized how the whole thing went down. And I was critical of the agent, how they weren't more patient, how they didn't use their leverage to get him right into the NHL. Now he looks like a guy who, like, got a little baby experience in the American League, but he looked comfortable last night from my perspective, Razor.
Yeah, he did. Listen, the plan worked out perfectly for everyone, almost right to the day of the Bruins clinching the playoffs, where, you know, and not doing it during a game that they played, to have it all line up the way that it has been perfect for both the team, the organization, and James Hagens himself. He, from all the counts down in the minors, he did and said and tried to learn all the right things. Really understands how important away from the puck is, and trying to understand where to be and be in the proper places within the Bruins system. Looks a little bigger for some reason in pro hockey than he did in college.
I agree, actually. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if it's the colors or what it is, but he doesn't look as frail at times, I thought, in college, where I was like, ooh, you know, maybe he's not big out here. How's he going to be? But no, he looks good, looks the part, and had a perfect, basically a perfect opening debut from the Bruins' point of view, and that he didn't make any mistakes. He was solid. He played 13 minutes, had an assist, had a penalty, got in the mix, and also got to play a team that was desperate. It wasn't, you know, he didn't play the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Carolina Hurricanes, but he had a team that needed to win, and they got the win on top of them. So really good start and a really good 2 weeks for James Hagens, for sure.
I guess it's probably easy to look bigger when you're next to Minton and Huzadinov versus Dean Letourneau. I mean, I think that would make anyone look bigger. But with that too, Razor, like, now that Boston's clinched, I know they're still, like, in the mix for getting the first wild card spot, for a second wild card spot with Ottawa. And obviously that's a big difference, right? You're either playing like a Buffalo Tampa, or you're playing, or actually even Montreal, or you're playing Carolina. So these games matter. But do you expect him to maybe get a little bit more ice time and looks in their last game against the Devils? Because it is, you know, it's nice to know that Hagens plays the one, he gets comfortable, and now they got one more game against the Devils, and the Devils, obviously, their season's done. So do you expect him to get, you know, more looks in this last game?
I got to imagine he plays again. 13 minutes is probably what he is as a player. He's not playing power play. He's not playing penalty kill. So if any of those things happen, then it's 12 or 13 minutes. That's
you don't think they'd throw on the second unit for this game?
Nah, I doubt it. I doubt it. And even if it is, because David takes 2 minutes, so now you have 4 guys coming in. So Now, like there's not a lot of places, and then they put 2D on the back end, and then so Bruins had 5 players sit out against Columbus last night. So I don't know
and still won.
who are those guys that are injured or rested on a back-to-back? Because you're
Mhm.
typically going to want your entire lineup to play for that last game because the Bruins will have 3 days off afterwards. So what I'd really like to happen for James Hagens from an evaluation point of view, or to actually watch him, is to have everybody come back in the lineup and then he be on that third line and see what it actually looks like with a Zaka line, with a full
Yeah.
fourth line of Corelli and Castley, and see how the rotation works, see how he fits in throughout those momentum pieces. That's intriguing to me because we don't know who the Bruins are playing, of course. Probably aren't going to really know until Thursday, maybe Wednesday, who they're playing, and then you can kind of back into, well, is he going to get any playoff time, and what matchups work well for him, which don't. So that'll be interesting to see. But I think he does play again, and I'm hoping that we see it within a full lineup to see kind of how a third line looks with those 3 guys.
Yeah. Razor, we got a comment in our chat from New York Marine. And I'm not gonna read it word for word, but basically saying like, don't cover, like, playing in the American League didn't do anything for him is basically the gist
Yeah.
of it. And as someone, like, I would push back on that a little bit to say you did go up a level, you did get a little bit of a taste of much harder, heavier compete and skill in the American League. Like, why would we be saying, like, why would you feel so strongly about that, New York Marine? Like, what do you think, Razor? I mean, I know you didn't, you had your path to the National Hockey League. Everyone's is a little bit different, but like, I do think playing games in the American League, I mean, that is not, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's
No.
not like it wouldn't help you. I'm surprised to see that comment from New York Marine. Like, what do you make of that comment, Razor? And you can
I'm
rip
a
him,
big
by the way.
AHL guy. Like I'm a big AHL guy, big development in that respect. And if nothing else, just going to see what the other half looks like, riding the buses, ordering soggy subs at the back, and just going through that just a little bit is important. It just seems like a social media thing that, and again, everyone has opinions now, and that's fine. But I think everyone who's really been around hockey and really been in behind the scenes and had to play in the minors understands the value in it, and that goes all the way to Hall of Famers that have done. I haven't heard one Hall of Famer or one guy who played 20 years in the league who did play in the minors say that didn't help me at all. There was no reason for me to be in the minors ever. I would have done everything I did without being in the minors. I never had to do that. I've never heard that ever. I've never heard anyone say that. And I think that just goes to the value in that. Even if it was 6 games that he played, it's still 6 games that he learned a lot in each game.
Yeah. Well,
and that's a good point.
You're around pros. You're around Trent Whitfield, who played for the Boston Bruins, played a couple hundred games in the maybe 100 games in the NHL. Played, like, there's some really good people to be around that you can get a little crash test from. Johnny, I know you wanted to weigh in there.
Well, isn't there something to be said too about starting there versus starting in the NHL and then being sent down there? Like, that's a fucking shot at the ego if you start in the NHL and then get sent down. Like, I think starting there, seeing how you look there, and then being brought up is a way different thing just for your mental, right? Like, we hear guys all the time who start in the NHL and then get sent down. It's like, oh, this guy couldn't crack it now, and people start criticizing and all these things. So why not try it in reverse? Like, I think that does have a lot to do with it. People don't understand, like, the mental part of the game. Like, I know people, like, sometimes say, like, it's cope or whatever, but the self-talk for hockey players is such a big challenge. Like, I struggled with it. I'm sure a lot of other people struggle with it too. Like, the things you tell yourself, and I guess trying to stay confident, like, that has a lot to do with the player's success also.
Oh yeah, of course. And again, you can go there. he had a goal and 3 assists in 6 games, and he got power play. Like, he got a lot of touches. Again, going up
Yeah.
to the NHL, like I just said, he's not going to get the same ice time. Like, this team's
Yeah.
going. It's a different animal than going to the Vancouver Canucks this year, where they just toss him in and they let him rip, or even a
Worry-free
Porter
hockey.
Martone. Like, Martone's getting power play looks because they literally have the worst power play in the entire league. It's not even close, so you might as well. The Bruins, aren't in that position. They don't need
Right.
power play help. They need third line help. It's just a different place of where they need right this second for a playoff team. So, and then it has nothing to do with James Hagens, but I think the other thing is as an organization, and Colby, you know, a couple of the organizations, we've talked to the same people, that they will not have a college kid come right into the NHL. They just won't do it. And I think, and those teams, the other 2 teams that I know do this and have that policy are teams that are in the Western Conference Finals every single year. This is how they run their organization.
Dallas won't do it. They won't
Correct.
even entertain it. They're like,
Correct.
nope. You want to leave? We're not entertaining it. They may be the most stubborn out in Dallas when it comes to that. Where Boston would be like top 2 or 3.
And I think there's something to that as an organization. I think setting that precedent, and Hagens was kind of the first guy that they needed to, but they've got a lot of guys coming up to get back. We talked about Letourneau a few times. You Zellers and these guys. It is a tricky situation organizationally and culture-wise to just give something. And I think for Hagens to buy into all of that and to go there and now get his chance up also sets him up as leadership material right out of the gates.
Yeah, listen, I was highly critical of how it was all handled because I said, you know what? What if you go to the American League and struggle, and then you're quickly labeled as an American League player, as a first-round pick? If you really want to be patient, you can force your way into the NHL right away. We've seen it. Even with Don Sweeney, I think potentially he would have had to come around eventually, and that's where I was very critical. But now I'm watching it and I was wrong, and I have no problem saying that. And now I do think like clearly all the right decisions were made, and whatever conversations were had in the background were agreed upon. You know, you just wonder how long the Bruins will be able to hang on to that mentality, because if they are picking these high prize first round picks, or, you know, Dean Letourneau goes out and scores 30 goals next year at BC, you and I know Letourneau's agent quite well. Like he's going to be as stubborn as it comes, as long as the player will allow him to say, you know what, we'll just wait. We'll use our leverage. We'll wait. We'll threaten to go back. We'll threaten to go to free agency. We'll do what Rutger McGroarty did. We'll do what Cutter Goche did. Whatever the case may be, you know, the players do have that power. So I am happy that it has overall worked out, though. And I have no issues eating my own words on any of these conversations, because I was very, very critical of it from the beginning.
Yeah, well, I guess the way to make that happen all the time, if you're Dallas and the Bruins, you just win. Get in the playoffs every year, and you dictate. You don't need these kids, and you look at the Vancouvers and the Chicagos and those teams of the world and say, well, good luck. Keep calling up college kids. Keep having these guys come in at the end of the season and trying to develop a culture.
That's what I was going to say with Dallas, right? Like, had they needed that in the last 5 or 6 years, they've been one of the best teams in the Western Conference every year. Like, there's no need for it. But with that too,
and then the flip side of that, though, guys, is the fact that those guys have gone to the minors might make them better players, might make them better culture guys, might make them better leaders, might make them understand what playoffs are about and all these things. Robertson going to the minors, Wyatt Johnson, Jake Ottinger, these guys got better being in the minors.
There's 2 organizations, in my opinion, that get criticized the most. And really, they're the only 2 that come to mind that I ever hear criticized by the fan base for over-seasoning their prospects and leaving them for too long. It's the Boston Bruins is the first one you always hear that about. And then it's the Detroit Red Wings. Those 2 seem to cut through the most with, we left him there too long. And then it becomes the debate, well, was he maybe just not that good? You know, Patra's name is always coming up. That guy Merkulov's name is always coming up. Like, people are pretty down when it comes to Sweeney on over leaving guys. And same with Yzerman. I hear that noise the most in the NHL.
Yeah, no question. I think, you know, Detroit's a little different, interesting because of the fact they haven't made the playoffs now. So now, you're really opening yourself up. And when you
Yeah.
go out and get guys like David Perron and Van Riemsdyk and Patrick Kane, and you don't make the playoffs with old guys, and you've got a bunch of young guys buzzing around, you watching around the league, the Celebrinis of the world, you're saying, well, where are the young guys, right? Like that's everyone wants a sexy young guy toy, right? And if you don't make the playoffs, that's the criticism. And then to the Bruins point, I think the issue, the one thing is that there hasn't been a ton of turnover up front from the Bruins, right? You had Krejci and Bergeron up the middle. So, okay, where are these guys going to go? And now you had a battle this year between Minten and Patra, essentially. Minten's got it now. Minten's not going anywhere. Pavel Zacha is going to sign a 7-year deal, and Lindholm's got 9 years left. So if you're a centerman, where are you going? Where are you going? And that's kind of, part of that seasoning / you haven't forced us to make a decision to be better than the guys that are there right now.
Yeah. Lindholm's got 9 years left. That was good.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe 20.
That was great. But Razor, thank you so much for the time today. We'll be watching Boston Bruins playoff
Colby,
hockey next
what a
week,
job, buddy. What a job in college hockey. You crushed it. You made college hockey is awesome, guys. I didn't play it. I wasn't part of it, but it is an incredible product. It keeps getting better because you guys keep promoting it and talking about it. And
thanks,
good work.
man. Well, you're going to be a college hockey dad in a couple of years, so you're gonna have a hat and a sweatshirt, and you're gonna belong in a couple of years. All right, and until then, we'll just keep you on the desk, and you'll just be Switzerland. All right.
Yeah, I'm always Switzerland.
All right, Razor.
Thanks, Razor.
See you, boys.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cup of Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.